Hey there, my name is Brandon, and today we're going to be reviewing the Thought Leaders book by Matt Church, Scott Stein, and Michael Henderson. And this was the first book that I had ever really dove into that was by Matt Church. I first heard about Matt Church through a gentleman named Taki Moore, and Taki Moore in his own right is an amazing coach for coaches who is able to take concepts and turn them into frameworks better than just about anybody I've ever seen in my entire life. And this book is just something that I wanted to dive into to learn more about that entire topic. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to dive right into it. The book, again, is called Thought Leaders. And the book is regarding how to capture, package, and deliver your ideas for greater commercial success. The authors are Matt Church, Scott Stein, Michael Henderson, and the preface was also done by Matt. And couple items that I found that struck me a little bit. He says the struggle to create clarity around the particular idea became his grand obsession. He's a deep thinker, and being able to take that thought and be able to package it and turn it into what he terms IP snapshots. And in the next book that we're going to be reviewing, it's going to be specifically on that technique that he ended up developing. So he stresses it's not a book on capitalism, but rather a book on how clever people can be commercially smart with their ideas. And the last part is desires to be able to capture great ideas, package them so that the ideas do something great that they can get out into the world, and they're so valued that you get commercially rewarded for them. And I think that's a huge important thing. It's if you have something and you put it out there, if the world's not able to hear it, see it, feel it, then you may not have the impact on the world that you're wanting to. So, depending upon what that impact is, it's very important for you to be able to learn how to package this information well and then be able to convey it to people. And honestly, that's what I'm looking to get out of that book and be able to do in the future even better. So, a little bit about me. My name is Brandon Yeager. I live near Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and you can go to brandonyeager.com. And how you can benefit the most by following along with this is if you go to brandonyeager.com for a limited time, I'm going to give access to this mind map that I created, and you'll be able to follow along. You'll be able to print it off. It'll be a PDF version, and you'll be able to also get the markdown copy as well. I believe I'm going to make that available. And you'll see in a future coming up video where the markdown's able to be imported into Obsidian, so you can kind of connect your different thoughts and be able to manipulate the data and everything all a little bit better. So moving on. So the Thought Leaders Introduction. What is thought leadership? So the term was first coined, according to Matt, in 1994 by Joel Kurtzman, editor-in-chief of Strategy and Business magazine. A thought leader is a subject matter expert who has unique insights or perspectives to share in their area of expertise. And I also found that it was pretty interesting because you don't have to necessarily know everything starting out, but if you can almost kind of become an expert as you learn and study and talk to people and interview them. You can almost become a thought leader in any particular topic that you really want to dive into, that you really want to learn. And that's what I'm really looking to hope to do as well in some different studies. So how do you learn to do what you do? He began by having questions asked of him. And he was trying to figure out, how do I construct my ideas in such a compelling and unique manner that it positioned him as a thought leader? Where do thought leaders appear? So there was four main types of thought leaders. There's the entrepreneur thought leaders, and they can use that to build, grow, or leverage a commercial business. And right now, there's a podcast that I've gotten a lot of value out of. It's an attorney's thought leadership podcast, and they talk about how attorneys are able to better market to their clients and it's by being a thought leader in their particular field. I've been able to take a lot of good insights from that, even just and try to incorporate those items into my real estate business. So the second thought leader type is entrepreneurs. They work internally within an organization. So there's people who are working within companies who that's their job, is to be thought leaders and be able to figure out ways to maybe take the vision that the company has and to be able to put that into thoughts and concepts that are going to be able to move the people in the direction that the company needs to move in order to be profitable. Third one is the entrepreneurs, basically selling their ideas to others to be able to assist them. And then socialpreneurs, using their expertise to make a difference in social or community issues. And that really, it could be wide encompassing. That could be even whether it's politicians or preachers, or there's so many different individuals who are out in the world who they have an idea, they have a concept, and they want to be able to move it forward. Or it could be something along the social justice or community issue type things. But they're socialpreneurs, and that was the fourth and final one that they talked a little bit about. And why thought leadership, and why now? You'd think that there's information in the hands of everybody, so there's no need for any more information on topics, right? The business world has changed, and marketing has changed forever. And there is an increased need to innovate and differentiate, being able to take the concepts, and maybe you're going to take a concept from A, take a concept from B, bring them together and create a whole new concept out of it. And there's actually a book called Thinker Toys that I've gone through it a little bit. I really want to go through it in more detail, but it has different ways of solving different types of business problems that you can really just multiply, divide, add, subtract, combine, ask different questions. And it's really cool when you're able to use a lot of those similar concepts with creating new original thoughts. So that's the thought leadership introduction. So he dives into 9 essential skills of thought leadership. And number one is uniqueness. Everybody is unique. And it's sometimes difficult to combat imposter syndrome, where you're feeling like you're fake or a fraud, and many do not value their strengths and accomplishments. Everybody has different, unique stories that they have been able to basically develop throughout their life. They've all lived through different things. They have unique experiences, and what he's found is that when people are able to unpack their ideas in IP snapshots, it will help you to overcome your insecurities. And part of the reason that I'm doing a lot of this is not only do I want to learn it, I want to be able to teach it. And by teaching it, I'm going to learn it even better, and it's going to reinforce different thoughts and concepts in my head. So it will also allow people to discover their unique identity, and they will become less reliant on the opinions of others, and they will get clear and remind themselves of their purpose. So branding, 3-word style brand, right profile for social media using words. And the 6-step process for discovering uniqueness is: number 1, discovery, you are more than what you think you are. Number 2, vision, designing a personal mantra for your vision. Number 3, offering, discovering and defining my unique strengths, talents, and expertise. Experience, what do I bring to the table differently? What is it that Brandon has been through, both physically, mentally, financially, that I can bring differently to this and give an extra edge of uniqueness to a particular thought or an idea, and how to make that come alive? Presence, what is my signature presence? And that could definitely be along the lines of branding, personal branding. And then purpose, defining the core purpose in my story. Okay, so signature style. Being a thought leader is about standing out, not fitting in. If you are saying the same exact thing as everybody else, then you get lost in the noise. You want to be able to figure out how to be original, unique. And it's not that you can't take concepts from other people and build onto them. Everybody stands on the shoulders of giants, but it's being able to take that insight and be able to do other things with it where you can set apart your uniqueness. Expertise is the second essential skill of thought leadership. Why is expertise important? The big challenge is crafting an idea into a format that allows thought leaders to quickly capture ideas and organize them in a way that somebody can quickly unpack the IP and consider ideas across a full spectrum. By a full spectrum, what Matt's referring to and the other authors here is being able to pull, and we're going to kind of talk about this here in a little bit more detail, but the full spectrum thinking concept is where you're able to have the main concept in the middle, and then you have the higher end of it is about the context. It's the big picture where you're going to be using models and methods. And then you also have the lower end where you have content, where you're going to be doing your stories and statistics and different things along those lines are going to be more detail oriented, or it could be steps of a process. So full spectrum ideas, it's going to craft your messages that will basically allow you to dance through people's left brain logic to their right brain creativity, and from concrete examples to high level contextual thinking. It's the full spectrum model. People are positioned as experts by their ability to capture expertise and share it with others. And this is probably one of the most exciting parts that I was able to get out of the book. This IP snapshots, they call them pink sheets. And the pink sheets, it wasn't for any particular reason other than Matt thinks at that point in time that there was pink copy paper in their copy machine, and that's how the term pink sheet originated. Again, I just kind of allude a little bit to the specific segments of these IP snapshots, but you have content. It's specific. It's left-sided. It's statistics, case studies. And so this is the details, and the left side is the logic. We have step-by-step guides. The right are the stories and audience interviews. It's details, but it's something that's more on the creative side of things. Then we have the concept. We have it's summarizing in one or two sentences. We have a formal and we have a casual. The formal is going to be very condensed and specific. Casual is going to be maybe a little bit longer, one or two sentences. But basically, this is going to be your main idea for that particular snapshot. Context, big picture. You have models on the left. That's your logic. They recommend to become a model kleptomaniac, basically studying the anatomy, the structure, design, the intent. Some examples are Robert Kiyosaki's cash flow quadrant and Maslow's hierarchy. And basically, what you really want to do is you want to recognize these frameworks that people use for taking these IP ideas and adding context and content, really analyzing, okay, maybe even what could somebody have done better to better communicate that and better articulate it to make their message have more meaning. So that's the models. It's the left side. The metaphors. It's the right hand side of your brain. It's the emotion. It's the big idea. It's the object and activity based instruments, transportation, profession, sports universe. Those are just different main categories of where you can pull some of these metaphors from. And I think I'm not sure if I end up having it here somewhere in this mind map, but they use the idea of the Trojan horse and them sneaking it in, and I thought it was pretty interesting and creative. So, speaking of shoulders of giants, Matt is obsessed with attribution. If somebody has something, there's nothing wrong with giving credit where credit is due. As a matter of fact, it's highly encouraged and recommended. And the way the Matt does that, if let's say he's going to borrow a piece of IP from somebody, he says, "Hey, my friend." Thought leader's name is an expert on whatever the message is. He created a brilliant framework called blank, and I'd love to share it with you. And it does three things for you. It increases your status and your credibility. our creativity increases. And number three, because you're taking that second one, the creativity increases because you're taking something that somebody else has done and you're adding your thoughts to it. You can do some different analysis in different polarizing directions to try to figure out how you can add some new thought to that. So it's kind of cool. They begin to share ideas in exchange. So they might find something that I've put together that's of value, and they might share it with their team as well. It's win-win all the way around, and it's highly encouraged to don't steal. We need to move away from plagiarism and move more towards attribution. And he gives a little, I guess, a help button here where it's what do I think? And a way to find out what you think about it is if somebody says, I think the icebergs are all going to be melted in 5 years, and they have their concept on it, and you are reading this analysis of it, and you can do a yes and maybe incorporate a different thought along those lines, or a yes but, and figure out a way to add your own unique piece of intellectual property to that existing thought. That's where you want to be able to really try and take some of the thought leadership concepts with that. So there is a 7-step process for going through and creating these IP snapshots. To create a list, the things I know, the things that I want to talk on, or that I may like to share with others. And clusters, the idea has only a few points. Having a point, that is the concept. Making it a big idea, that is the diagram or the metaphor. Being able to come up with some type of a framework essentially is a huge help in that regard. Supporting points, this is where you're going to pull in your facts, examples, stories, and case studies. And then creating a system. And this is really where I've been able to make some inroads with a piece of software called Obsidian. And I've kind of become obsessed with Obsidian. And as I dive into that more, I plan on sharing some videos with that also. But it's really kind of cool to be able to just kind of link all these different nodes together and customize. So customizing content, not context. Once you have a lot of your framework stuff done and your main point, you can literally change the content while keeping the context and adding. You could literally go into a completely different field in many different cases and provide some amazing value to an entirely new set of prospects or clients and people who are able to take that just by having a different section of content added to your IP snapshot. So that's really kind of cool too. And I think as we continue to plow through here, I think you're gonna see there's so much genius in what Matt Church does and what he's able to bring to the whole thought leadership perspective. It's pretty amazing, and I can see how he's obsessed with thinking and taking thoughts and being able to commercialize them. So, perspective is being able to see what is really going on, becoming a futurist, a master of perspective. And he has some information here on analyzing it with STEEP. STEEP is an acronym for social, technological, economical, environmental, and political. So if you're going to analyze something with STEEP, maybe give it a different perspective. You can look at it through different ages, different cultures, genders, patterns. Um, I think that's what I had there for it was patterns. But there's different. There you can just look. Even men are from Mars, women are from Venus. There's a whole series and IP area that has been created out of that, and cultures, different people from different parts of the world, and different ages, whether it's young or old. So you can look at it from different social angles, technological, speed, cost, innovations, design, economic. You can look at it from different perspectives: interest rates, high, low, return on investments, inflation, energy, rate of economic growth, employment. You can analyze many different ideas through an economic lens. Environmentally, legalization, shareholders, information, customers. And then from the political end, There could be different legislation, government, public services, or taxation. So those are all different lenses that you can sometimes analyze things with and kind of give a different perspective. um, as well as WWJD was a popular acronym years ago. What would Jesus do? What you want to also be able to ask yourself is, what would other people do if such and such was placed in this scenario? How would they respond? How would they react? What would they say? And there's a lot of value to be able to try to think through what somebody else may do and how they may respond. So, the fourth essential skill of thought leadership is positioning, sharing who you are. And if you end up getting the book, you can follow along. It's on page 100 is what I had for my, and by the way, I highly recommend get the book, mark it up, write in it. It's definitely one that you can refer back to over and over again. So positioning, what do you do? There's different ways you can position yourself if you are at a dinner party. um, Obsession, what lights you up. Category, something they know. History, edit out irrelevant bits. Or a couple of notes that I had there. And if you're at a networking event, so you have your uniqueness. What sets you apart? Why would somebody want to have some conversation with you over that particular topic versus somebody else? And you can also pull an example out. You can just say, hey, I happen to know of a person who they were having this trouble. They were searching for different solutions, and they ended up discovering this, and kind of using case studies to help further whatever that idea is. And then the boardroom is the purpose, how you help them achieve their purpose, their problems, and their solutions. Number 5, the fifth essential skill, delivery, sharing what you know. So choosing your channel. There's 3 different types of main channels that you can do. You can do tell, show, or ask. And telling is content with stories and examples. This could be authorship. Showing is concepts with ideas and principle. And asking is context based by asking questions that elicit the content. And this could be an example of that is coaching. Okay, and there's 6 main channels for delivering. There's the author, mentor, coach, facilitator, trainer, speaker, and each of them kind of has their own segment where they come in through the tell, show, and ask. And these are all different avenues for where somebody can be a thought leader in their particular field. Adaptation, adjusting how you share your ideas. So this is understanding various mindsets. And some of my notes came from page 139 if you're following along. Good ideas for various learning methods. Visual, if it's you, and these are different things where you're wanting to make sure that if you're trying to communicate a piece of IP, these are 9 different ways that you can help adapt to share your ideas depending upon what environment you're in. Visually, items such as posters, banners, or if you're doing a PowerPoint, images. Auditory, maybe you're doing music during the breaks or even while people are arriving for, maybe you're doing a live seminar. You're also able to vary your pitches while you're speaking, keeping things interesting, and maybe showing your passion for whatever that subject happens to be. And sound bites, and just remembering message trumps method. So it's more important to make sure that you're getting your message out there usually versus the method itself. The third thing, kinesthetic, is there something that you can give somebody to hold? interactive exercises, and movement. Being able to get movement creates emotion, and that's probably a huge thing. I believe Tony Robbins speaks to that quite a bit as well. Numeration, number of points, show of hands. Hey, if I could get a show of hands for how many people would like to such and such. Asking an audience to calculate, getting the audience involved, pulling them in. Linguistic, a formal set of words, environmental sustainability. But what he does recommend is only use words that you can pronounce. And this is probably a downfall for me, because sometimes I make up words sometimes, or sayings. Like, I'll take two different sayings and I smash them together, and I do it repetitively. My family makes fun of me for it. And language, my English is not great. I should probably work on getting better with it, but it's not great at all. I almost failed seventh grade English. So sometimes I tell people that English is kind of like a second language for me, because that's how poorly I speak it. But moving on, interpersonal. For example, detailed case studies, video interviews of others on topic. These are ways that you can add personal items to it. Abstract, again, we could incorporate metaphors where we're going to take things that people know and see and do on a regular basis, and you kind of relate it to something to make it like it completely goes right through the brain so much easier if there's a metaphor that they can quickly utilize. Quotes, historical references, again, those are things to kind of help take difficult to understand things and make them more real and concrete, and make people understand kind of what they are, as well as fables. Existential, relate principle to big ideas, create different ways of saying the same thing, and introduce competing ideas and shooting down. Intrapersonal, how can an audience apply this in their lives? How we can personally benefit in outlining the results. And next, we're moving on to the eighth essential skill of thought leadership: execution, becoming massively productive. And this is something that I'm really trying to work on as well. I want to be just taking massive action. I know that time is short. We all have so many things to do. We try to pack into such little time, and execution and becoming massively productive is huge. So becoming efficient, taking notes, mind mapping exactly what I'm doing right now, setting agendas, being effective. Most important task first, saying no, being able to manage interruptions. These are all different things that can help you. Leveraged, recycling ideas, taking things that you maybe thought through once before, figuring out how to redo it again, setting up for future success. Efficiency, tag, store, and recall. And I think that probably ties into Obsidian and different Roam or Notion, these different second brain type pieces of software that people were talking about. Getting systematized, anything repetitive, systematized. And as I start to make a lot more of these YouTube videos and try to find my way through the YouTube world, I want to make sure that I'm doing everything in my power to systematize things and jot them down, so that we think once and repeat the same process. Think once, follow the same patterns, same systems, so that you don't have to think. Your brain only has so much capacity, and if it's constantly having to reinvent the wheel and rethink about what needs done, that slows you down. You're not as efficient, versus if you have a written down process, you don't have to think about it. You just have to do. You just have to execute your day, and it'll definitely make you stay more on point. Being functional, staying in the lane, not micromanaging people. If you assign something to somebody, let them do it. You don't need to necessarily jump in there. And this is tough for me. I used to be an engineer, and I like control in that regard, and I like numbers and accountability as well. But it's sometimes very difficult for engineers or people who like that type of control to let go of things and allow other people the freedom to make decisions on their own. That's definitely something that needs to be able to be focused upon. Building engagement, explaining higher purpose of work. So if you know exactly your why, your what, and your how becomes a lot more easier to do if you're able to understand all of that. Getting active, creating a bias for action will allow you to stay more focused on being productive. Date and distribute tasks, and what decision are we making? Uh, Next one is getting strategic, communicating the big picture often. Um, each week at our church, the preacher stands up and he asks, what the purpose of the church is, and every single week, the church responds, and it's always a constant communication of making sure what the big picture is, so that they don't lose sight of the focus of exactly what they're there for. um, Knowing your business's core activities and what you're there for, like what is your why. And that also allows you to help say no if there's various things that are taking you off track and away from where you're supposed to be. Then saying no will help you stay the course. All right. Getting aligned is building culture and discussing values, making sure that everybody has the same, whatever the winning philosophy is for your organization, whatever your aligned values are. You want to make sure that everybody's on board, because otherwise, some people are going to be running to the right, some people are going to be running to the left, and it's going to be a tug of war. The rope is always going to be constantly getting pulled back and forth, and you want to make sure that everybody is just able to move all on the same page. All right, and that will bring us to our last essential skill of thought leadership. Number 9 is clicking, which is connecting your ideas. And there's a quote here by Dale Carnegie: "People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care." And there's so much truth to that. If you're trying to win people's hearts and minds, and you haven't really expressed how much you care, it's oftentimes a more difficult hurdle, and their resistance is up, their defensive mechanisms are up. So he also says, stop selling and start letting people buy. Solutions are simple. Know the solution we propose, know the client's problem, and provide our stuff as the solution. So those are the 9 essential skills of thought leadership. And it's all building upon, I believe it's a program that they offer called the $1,000,000 Expert. And the 5 steps to that are identifying what we want, getting our message clear, improving the delivery method and the practice, marketing, where are the opportunities, and then number 5, your plan, is mapping your plan forward, knowing what you're going to do. So that is the review of the Thought Leaders book by Matt Church. I loved it. I thought it was a great read. It was very fast, and it's definitely it's one you want to go back through a second time. But the next book that we're going to be talking about, called Think by Matt Church, is it's absolutely one. I've gone now through it like 2 or 3 times, and probably 3 times at least, and I just find value in it every single time. Again, if you would like to get the mind map to this, head over to brandonyeager.com, sign up for my newsletter. At least for a limited time, I'm going to be offering out the mind maps absolutely free. And hopefully you'll be able to get some value out of them, and maybe it'll help you follow along with Matt's book. Matt and Scott and Michael, they all put together a great read here. So thank you very much, and I will catch you soon. And if you have not already subscribed to my channel, please subscribe to the channel, give it a thumbs up. I would appreciate it. If you have any comments or questions, leave them in the notes below the video on YouTube, or if you see it on my website, brandonyeager.com, on one of the blog posts, you can just comment there below, and I'll see that as well. All right, take care. We'll talk to you soon.